Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Lair. We are starting the brand new Shadowdark campaign on the channel. This is the first episode. Welcome. Today I have 3 players joining me for this opening session. We have Brother Oswald, we have Isabel, and Norman. These are their character names. Hopefully you'll get to learn their voices, and hopefully the overlay on the screen will kind of help you discern who is speaking. Sorry guys, my dog wants to say hi. He's now he's now here. But we're going to be getting started very, very shortly. Hopefully I'll add some chapters so those of you who are following along with this live stream can jump to the parts of the story that you really want to see. This session will have hopefully some roleplay, combat, some exploration, maybe as well some deaths. We'll see. But I would like to now jump into the story. Just for reference, 3 players we have today are these 3 characters that you see on the screen here. These are their portraits. We're using old school black and white ink and sketch art for the portraits, and as you can see they are a mighty looking bunch. Over Oswald, you're playing a priest, correct?
Indeed, I'm a human priest, playing him somewhat more like a paladin type war priest.
Yeah. Cool. And that means that you get 2 starting talents as a human. And I think I remember you rolling really well on those talents, right?
Yeah, I got advantage on one spell of my choice, so I chose Cure Wounds.
As any good priest would, yeah.
Exactly, so I should be able to heal at least a little bit.
To be
And
fair,
I could pick a +2 on my wisdom.
+2 on your wisdom. I was going to say, there is also protection from evil, like protection from evil. That would be also a really, really good spell to have advantage on, right? To like impose disadvantage on enemy attacks if they are chaotic aligned.
True, but I didn't even choose that spell, to be honest.
You didn't? Okay.
I didn't.
Holy shit. Well, let's hope it doesn't come back to bite you later on in the session.
I did choose Turn Undead, which might be very useless in this campaign, but we'll see.
There are undead. I have written up information about a lich. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what direction the story goes and whether you actually end up encountering this foul. I want to say a monster of a man, but I don't know. We also have Norman, who is a new player of mine. First session with me. That's correct?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And you're playing a fighter, ranger.
I'm playing a ranger.
Nice.
I've kind of made him a strength-based ranger. So as we said last time we talked, he's a bit of a stranger. He's a bit of a stranger ranger.
Hey, Stefan, fuck off. You're in the wrong channel. We're in mid-session. Crickets. There's a live stream, Stefan. Go watch it. Alright, where was I? So yeah, you're playing a ranger. Be aware you've got like a pouch where you've got like herbs and stuff like that. Be aware that you start off with that filled. The idea is that if you do manage to get back to a settlement, you can basically automatically refill that again. But the idea is if you're not at a settlement, you do actually need to try and resupply those herbs. And the way you can do that is by trying to forage. So you see that you've got DCs for your foraging, or not foraging, for your for the remedies that you can make as a ranger?
Yeah. So like a salve is 11, stimulant is 12.
Right.
Obane 13.
The idea,
I really like that one.
The idea is if you run out of if you start failing them, that means you can't try again. And the idea is that you need to basically find more herbs. Oh yeah, and guys, if any of you are interested in actually joining this campaign, all you got to do is join the Discord, reach out to me. I'm offering part-time slots and full-time slots. Full-time slots are a premium, and they cost a amount per session. But I also have part-time slots which are free, and you basically just get to join, roll up a one-shot character, and help the players with the story based on, you know, the part of the story that they're in. So if you're interested in joining, if you like what you see, feel free to reach out to me. We will be more than happy to have a few new players join. We do have a couple of other people who are supposed to be joining, but they weren't able to attend this week, so we've got a small and intimate group for the session today. Last character is Isabel, fighter, right?
Correct. Isabel is a fighter.
Very, very good. And you're all playing kind of like mercenary, swashbuckler types, right? So, like, guardsmen, your typical militia type warriors. It's going to be interesting. The setting that you guys are in is a very arid, dry region. There's lots of trade routes that kind of head through the region, and these trade routes, they require a lot of protection because there are various factions that live out in the wilderness. One of the biggest ones being greenskins. That's goblins, orcs, bugbears, hobgoblins, and anything else that is incredibly ugly and you really want to swing with it with your sword. But yeah, lots of greenskins, lots of other really interesting factions which I'm going to be debuting in this campaign. Things that aren't even in the book for Shadowdark, but things that I like the look of and that I want to use. So I guess you guys will have to wait and see what I've got in store. With that in mind, I think it is time to begin. Isabel is an ex-soldier for a local lord. She turned mercenary adventurer after seeing no social mobility. She's also gorgeous as fuck. There you go, guys.
Nice.
Fucking hell. So, anyway, I want to begin the session as followed. You guys have all been hired by a local caravan company. Their job is to transport a vast amount of silk, as well as spices and wine, from the settlement of Dusthaven in the south, all the way up the northern route towards the keep of Sunstone. There has been speculation amongst the other people who have been hired by these merchants that these goods might be going to the local nobility of the keep. Sunstone is known to be the bulwark in the north. It is the shield that protects the northern barony, and it is one that is well defended. The route between the two settlements is treacherous and takes you through two distinct biomes. The first is a savanna type biome. This is a biome where you would expect a lot of larger wild animals. You would expect ferocious beasts, as well as various humanoids that could fight them. The second is a more typical plains biome, which is only going to make up a very small portion of today's travel. Because you're on a road, you're able to move at relative pace, but the weather, the actual temperature of the area that you're in, the part of the world that you are located in, is pretty warm. I would say it is equivalent to Florida, if you're in the States, maybe California for the West Coasters. Or if you're in Europe, I would say it's equivalent to Turkey or Syria, somewhere like that. So it is pretty hot can also be very cold as well. And there are deserts, badlands, all sorts of arid biomes that you would expect from a place like this. But those are not ones that you're necessarily going through today. You've each been paid a small but, kind sum of 10 gold pieces. This has been paid to you in advance for you to join these troop of mercenaries, and if you manage to get there in one piece, you will receive an additional 10 gold pieces. Is that understood?
Yep.
So you can add 10 GP to your sheets. And with that in mind, you guys are setting out. I don't imagine there is much that you wish to buy before you leave. So we are going to start the session on the road. Is the prologue being retconned? No, it is not. And surprisingly as well, you are here. It's just what you did last week is set a little bit in the future. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I'm not suffering the effects of my injury right now.
Not right now this second. But you
Okay.
will. In the probably after the first hour of the session, you will be suffering from that. For anybody who's wondering what Isabella's referring to, I did a session last week that wasn't live streamed where her and another player did a very, very interesting scenario, and she got injured in it. But it's set a little bit in the future. I've done a bit of a backtrack, and hopefully, Isabel, you can keep what happened to yourself. I'm sure the players will realise before long. So, with that in mind, it has now been a few days. The sweltering heat is beginning to get to the three of you. It is ridiculously hot. And whilst there is water, you find yourself with quenchable thirst at most times of the day. I'd like each of you to start this session by rolling me your first check. Constitution check. So click on your token, click and press con.
Oh, yeah. There we are.
Good. You all succeed the check. Isabel, barely. And this is to see how you are coping, how you are faring in this very difficult journey. And so far, you are doing well. If only the same could be said about some of the men around you, both the ones who are armed and the ones who are not. It seems the donkeys that are pulling these carts have priority, and I think that's assumed, as it's these creatures that are responsible for making sure that the carts actually get to their destination. But all the while, it's been quiet. You've seen a couple of wild beasts on the way to this point, the most spectacular being a giraffe grazing from quite a tall tree on some of the higher branches. Whilst you guys could have done something and maybe hunted the giraffe, it was quite far away and there would be no sense in killing such a majestic beast. But our adventure truly starts here. I want the three of you to roll me a perception check.
Alright.
That's wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom.
That is a wisdom check. It's a spot check. Sorry, I've got D&D on the brain, so sometimes you'll have to read between the lines if I say stealth. So this is a spot check, wisdom, 14, 9, and 12 from everybody who has rolled, which is all of you. Suddenly, arrows begin to litter the ground around you, and you hear panic amongst your ranks. You are being ambushed as you see greenskins draw their swords and charge in your direction. As you look above you, you see on high vantage points little pesky goblins with bows in hand, pulling back on their strings, notching arrows and firing, one of them hitting a merchant square in the chest. Let's bring you guys to the screen for the first combat of the campaign. Terrific. Locate your tokens, please.
Alright.
And roll initiative. For anybody who's watching this back, who's curious how I've set up everything on Roll20, it is a little bit complex, but I use a lot of macros. And you can learn how to do macros through many guides on YouTube. There are also guides on the Roll20 forums on how to do things like this. But yeah, it didn't take too long. But once I got it all set up, it's really good. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Maybe maybe a live stream where I talk about it. If you're interested in that, leave a comment. You know, leave a comment, like the video, all that good stuff.
Alrighty.
Alright, I am now going to roll some dice. I'm going to quickly add some turns for the men that have been hired with you guys. Initiative 5, because they get a +1. Unfortunately, these caravan merchants, which are specifically these tokens, the ones with the hoods over, that token really represents non-combatants for me. Okay, so if you see that, it means a peasant, basically. Somebody who's not really able to fend for themselves. And I'm sure those of you who are watching the live stream can see 1 hit point. 1 HP. They get hit, they're dead. Which, relatively speaking, is not super realistic, but when it's goblin arrows and orcish blades, I think it does make a fair deal of sense. Let's roll some dice.
Alrighty.
Alright, 1 sec, everybody. $12. I thought all the macros were set up, but they're not, so I'm having to do this manually. Just un momento. Ooh. And to the north as well. Okay, these guys have their initiative sorted. There you go. Very good.
Uh-oh.
Did you just see that? Did you see the orcs to the north? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Let us begin. So it's at this point you hear an orc yell out in their language, their native tongue. Do any of you guys understand Orcish?
I do.
You do? Then roll me a wisdom check. See if you can discern what the orc is saying. It's a lot of guttural sounds, a lot of barking and...
That's 12.
12. You hear the orc say, as clear as day, "Capture them! Bring them down and put them in manacles! Get them! Get them now!" And arrows come flying down. For the sake of purpose, guys, I'm gonna skip the surprise round and just say some of these people that are with you are dead already, but none of you have been targeted by any of their attacks, and we'll just start from this point here. There are 2 goblins up here and 2 goblins on the other side, with their bows in hand. They're going to fire down. One goes for a shot on Oswald. Roll me a block check, please.
Alright. 12.
That succeeds. Managed to block. It was DC 12. It's 11 plus 1, so 12. So how do you defend yourself?
Well, basically, as soon as the arrows start flying, I jump aside in front of that commoner that's standing next to me and hold up my shield to try to catch anything that comes my way.
Brilliant. The one above, kind of seeing this, fires a shot at you as well. Roll me another block check. And you managed to block that one as well. So you, like one side up to the other side, 2 arrows in your shield already. The other 2 goblins, one of them's going to target this guy down here. He's going to roll a dice and see if it hits or not. It does. And he gets shot in the throat, and he drops to the ground, presumably dead. The other one fires a shot down towards you, Norman. Roll me a block check.
Alrighty.
Brilliant. Arrow comes down. What do you do to avoid the arrow?
I think since I rolled so high, I'd like to block this with one of my blades.
Okay, you just swing your weapon and you just manage to knock it out of the air. It's a very, very difficult shot. Very lucky, very fortunate to have succeeded doing that.
He seems almost surprised that he was able to do that himself. Wasn't expecting that to work.
Reminds me of the Scorpion King, the movie with the boss, the bad guy who's able to like fucking block with his swords. Yeah, it's cool. Alrighty, that's the goblins dead. It's over to Oswald.
Alright, so I've positioned myself here to protect the merchant behind me, since that's basically what we've been hired for.
Yeah.
And it seems like a very stupid idea to charge at the goblins on my own.
Yeah.
And
So
I
what do you
don't
wanna
have any
do?
ranged capabilities, so
You don't. The goblins have ranged weapons on them, but you would have to slay one of them to be able to acquire that weapon.
indeed, yeah. We can't get up here, right? Without going
You-
around.
You would have to climb, and the climb check would be a DC 18 to try and climb
Okay,
that
then in-
space. But you do see on the
in that
western side of it.
case-
Well, let me just say, on the western side, you see this. This is a rock wall.
Alright.
It's sloped and it's easier to climb.
Then I want to move over here to form a sort of wall along with the other guard.
Yeah.
And in case any orcs want to pass by here, I want to cast Holy Weapon on my mace to be prepared if anyone tries
Yeah.
to pass.
Cool. Yeah. That's a success.
Alright, then I'll just stay here to protect this passage.
What's the effect of Holy Weapon for people who are wondering?
I do have the Shadowdark PDF here, but it basically enchants my weapon with holy energy, giving me +1, I believe, on damage and attack rolls.
+1 to hit and damage. So it's like magic weapon in 5e. Very cool.
Basically, yes.
Very good. Is that any of your turn?
Yes, that's it.
Norman, initiative 16. What do you want to do?
Alrighty. Each of these are 5-foot blocks, right?
5-foot squares. It's a grid.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to move up here and try to grab this goblin and use him as a human shield.
All right. It is a strength challenge from you. The goblin will be able to oppose.
Okay. Oh shit. Come on, roll up.
You are a ranger, correct?
Yes.
You do not have any grit, unfortunately. Goblins have a +1 to dexterity, so I will roll a dex check to oppose as they are trying to avoid your grasp. Unfortunately, you are not able to secure the grapple. I believe that's the end of your turn.
Uh-oh. Alright.
Over to the orcs. Initiative 13. The orcs come charging in from the north. A couple of them double move. The other two kind of stay here, kind of blocking the donkey. The donkey's obviously very visibly distressed, unable to really do anything. It's just panicking as arrows are flying over its head. Over to the goblins over here. These two goblins are going to step up. Yeah, put a 5 on the token. Right, both of these goblins have ranged weapons as well. I'll put a plus sign on them so you can have reference of that. And the goblins are going to pull back on their bows, and one shot towards you, Oswald, one shot towards the man on your right. Roll me a block check.
13.
It's good. You managed to block the attack.
3 arrows in my shield already.
Hell yeah. The man to your below to your left is not so fortunate. That's a natural 20.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And the arrow hits him straight through the eye and comes out the back of his skull. And he drops to the ground. You realise that you are now alone. If only there were other heroes in the live stream chat that could join and help you right now, Oswald. You are by yourself on this side. Isabel is not too far away, but you are absolutely outnumbered. Those two goblins have acted. Now over to these two near Norman. This one is going to draw their club and try and give you a swing. So roll me a block check.
Alright.
DC 11 for the club.
DC 11 for the club. Block check. Oh. There we go.
Oh, he manages to hit you with the club. You take a D4 points of damage. 2 points of damage, Norman, which you can mark from your token.
Alright.
The other goblin will pan around. And with a knife, will try to slice you in the side. You can roll me an additional block check, please.
Alright.
I think that's good.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, I mean that is that is on the line. You barely avoid this, and I imagine it lunges towards your gut, and you manage to like take one step away, and it's literally only an inch or so away from just slicing open your guts.
Oh,
Nasty.
boy.
All right, over to you, Isabel.
Yeah, Isabella's gonna move up to support Norman.
You mean Oswald?
Or yeah, Oswald.
No worries.
And then I'm gonna attack this orc to my north.
Go for it. That's a hit. So you plunge your short sword into its side. It takes 3 points of damage, and it pushes you back. Still alive. I believe that's probably the end of your turn.
It is.
Alright, are there any of the hired help remaining? They're all dead already. Alright, it's these orcs over here, isn't it? Yeah, it is. These orcs step up. This one's going to run through, charge up to Oswald, and it's just going to take a swing with this very large... I'd say it's basically like a great club. So it comes up with this big great club, and just swings it for your head, Oswald. Roll me a block check.
15.
How do you avoid it? What do you do? It's a big club, he's holding it with 2 hands, and he just swings horizontally towards you.
I turn around, so I move out of the range of his club while holding up my shield so he can cut off the arrows that stick out of it with his club.
Cool. Like it. A lot of creativity. So I'm going to give you a luck point.
Awesome.
The other 2 orcs are going to stay where they are. It's the end of the turn. It's now to start the next round. Initiative 20. To the goblins up top. They now litter the battlefield with arrows as they continue their attacks. One of them is going to target this man, this poor man here. And it just misses, it whizzes by his head. The other one is going to fire down at this man over here, who I imagine is moved up and is trying to like pull the donkey forward and try and escape the carnage. You got to realize that these merchants have probably invested so much money into this, and not every person is smart enough to realize that, you know, it's not worth it. Shot comes in. Misses as well. Very good. The other 2 are going to fire down. One of them is going to aim for Isabel. So you can roll me a block check, please. Not good at all. That's a crit, basically. If you roll a natural 1 on a block check, it is equivalent of a crit, because it's just, you know, you're rolling instead. With that in mind, an arrow whizzes down, and that is 4 points of damage, Isabel. Where do you think the arrow hits?
Probably in my leg.
Yeah, I like that. Inside of your leg.
Like through my
Immediately,
thigh.
yeah, immediately kind of stifles you, and you lose concentration on what you're doing, and now you're in a bit of like a fight or flight type scenario where you're just trying to fight for your life. The other goblin gonna try and pick off the driver over here. Misses, and it's over to Oswald.
Okay, so I want to hold up my holy charged mace and smack it at the orc in front of me. Which is the 7.
That misses.
I think I'll save my luck point for a more crucial moment, so I think that's it.
That's it. All right. Over to Norman.
Alrighty. I would like to what are the rules for dual wielding here?
I do not allow dual wielding as standard. I might allow somebody to train to do it, but I think it's incredibly rare.
All right. I'm going to stab one of these goblins with my short sword. Then.
Which one?
I'm gonna go for the one who tried to stab me in the gut with the knife.
So the one to your right. Very good.
Yeah.
Alright, go for your attack. Goblin manages to step back and duck under the swing of your blade. It just misses. And your turn?
If I step back, do they get attack of opportunity?
No.
Is
Not in
no?
Shadowdark.
Okay. Then at this point here, I would like to disengage. Should I disengage here?
Run away.
Or should I keep Yeah, I think I'm going to fall back here. So 5.
Yeah, you can move up to your movement speed.
25.
Combat is much more free form. You don't have to worry about having to disengage as an action or a bonus action. You can just pull back if you need to. You can just run away if you need to. But I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to finish off your turn.
I'm going to just move over here and get back to fall back to the cart.
Very good. And your turn is over. It's over to the orcs now. This orc is going to pull back, using his movement. This orc is going to rush in and swing with a one-handed club. Isabel, block check. You block it. Very nice. What weapons are you wielding? What do you have a shield?
Yeah, I just raise my shield and parry the blow aside.
Nice. Knock it to one side. The orc gonna kind of step back, posturing against you. I'm pretty sure it is the right group, isn't it? Yeah, it is. One's gonna rush in here. This one's gonna rush in here. Orc's gonna take a swing with his weapon, try and knock out this man that's with you guys. This merchant. Let me make sure I get the bonus correct. That hits. I don't even need, even on 1 point of damage, he's been knocked from the cart. He's either dead or knocked out. Either way, he's out of commission. This orc starts looting the cart to see what's inside, see if it's actually a good haul that they found or if it's not. I believe that's the end of their turn. Over to the goblins. This goblin's going to try and shoot Oswald. Roll me a block check. Oh! On the money today. This goblin here is going to step up, move around, and fire a shot at this man. Misses. It's a natural one too, for the sake of purpose. I'm going to say his bow is no longer functionable. No longer in use. 2 on the right. Obviously, Norman, you did manage to get away, but that does not mean that the goblins aren't going to remember. They reposition, notch an arrow, each of them, and fire one towards you and one towards the man to your north. I'd like you to roll me a block check, please.
Alrighty. Oh. And
That just hits. You take a d4 points of damage. 2 points of damage, Norman.
alright, 2 points of damage.
Imagine it slices you. It doesn't actually fully penetrate any part of your body, but you've been kind of sliced by the edge of the arrow. Alright, that's that done. Over to Isabel.
I'm gonna move down here to support Oswald, and I'm gonna attack this orc.
Very good. The orc swings his weapon rampantly. He's got this big, great club, and he manages to keep you at arm's reach. The orcs are tenacious in Shadowdark, and first level characters do not fend too well against their ferocity. Anything else?
No, I'm gonna end my turn.
The orc will return in kind and go for an attack on you, Isabel, swinging his club to try to knock you out. That hits. It's rolling the dice. With that in mind,
Ooh.
you go down. Collect her! Take her with the others! He's going to step away. This one comes rushing in, leaps through the air, overhead swing, bringing it down vertically towards the top of your head, towards your helmet, Oswald. I'd like you to roll me a block check.
13.
13. Orcs have a +2, so the DC is 13. You succeed. Very good.
I assume it just basically knocks off against my helmet, not causing any serious harm.
Correct. I think this orc is going to move and actually climb up this basically like a sharp incline, like a ditch. He's going to climb up using his movement and his dash, and end his turn here. Back to the goblins. Goblins are yet to take any damage, at least not these ones. Actually, I don't think any of the goblins have took damage. They're being very
quick little fuckers.
they are. They're very cheeky, these goblins, and they're not well armored either. They're just quite springy and they move quite quickly. So the goblins to your left are going to fire down. There are less targets to worry about. I will say, for sake of purpose, that this man here, he runs to the south. He's going to dash off the screen. And this man here is going to hide under his cart. quite desperately, I will add, as you can probably imagine. This other guy is going to ride his donkey forward at this point. End his turn. The goblins fired down a shot, one of them targeting him. I think it's good that we have a continued narrative for the combat, eh? That hits. Arrow hits him in the chest, and he just slumps in the seat. He's out. You can see that the greenskins, interestingly enough, they're not complete like idiots. They're not like killing the animals or anything like that. They understand that they're going to have to move this stuff, and animals will be very useful in accomplishing that goal. The other one's going to fire down towards you, Oswald. You're going to have to roll me a block check, please.
Alrighty. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Sorry, I'm not Oswald. You're Oswald.
Can I still use your roll, though?
So,
Yeah, that's natural 1.
that's a natural 1. That means you're going to be crit.
With my 4 HP.
With your 4 HP. 2d4 damage. That's 3 points of damage. That was a risk. You could have lucked that. But instead, you took a 3-point crit. Where do you think the arrow hit on Oswald?
I think somewhere right above the collarbone in the shoulder.
Right between the plates.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. That's cool. The other two on the other side, one of them's going to fire at this. Oh, actually, this guy's hiding under the cart, so I'm going to rain check that. I think this goblin is going to move the ammunition that they've got over to here and end this turn. The other goblin is going to fire down a shot towards Norman. Roll me a block check.
Alrighty.
Natural 20. In this situation, you can do something creative and unusual. That's what I like with natural 20. Sometimes I come up with what you can do. Sometimes I let you choose what you can do. Do you have an idea of something you'd like to do right now with a natural 20 after you block this attack?
Let's see here. I think
You have a throwing weapon? Or a ranged
Uh,
weapon?
I do not. One sec. Let me double check what's in my pack here. The torsion. I have an iron spike I can toss at him.
Not too sure that would probably do enough. Although that sounds very creative. So you know what? If you want to throw an iron spike at one of the 4 goblins on your right, pick a target, and roll a dex check.
Okay.
We'll see if it hits.
Alrighty. You wanna know? I'm gonna go after that guy who tried to stab me again. So buddy, right here.
Yeah, it's this one right here.
Yeah. Let's roll a dexterity check.
When you're ready.
Yep. 17.
Fantastic. Roll me a d4. The amount of damage you're going to do to this goblin. Oh, it's slight. So I imagine it takes an iron spike to the knee. And immediately drops to the ground, squawking and squealing. That is the end of your kind of reactionary natural 20. The goblins end their turn on that side. I've already done the other side, so it's now over to Oswald with 1 hit point. There is an arrow between the plates of your armor. You can feel the treacle of crimson as it's beginning to actually cause your armor to look a bit messy. Quite uncomfortable. But there are orcs in front of you. They're screaming and shouting. What do you want to do?
I think I'm going to try to heal myself and move away towards Norman. Try to regroup and run away.
Cool.
Because I don't think we can save Isabel anymore at this point.
Succeeds.
Alright, so that's D6, I believe.
That is correct. You regain 2 points of health, and because of the successful cure wounds, you're able to continue to cast it moving forward.
Can I move between the donkey and the cart, or is that not possible?
I'd say it's difficult terrain, so yeah, you could easily do that. If that's 15, it means it would be 30 if you moved through there.
Okay, and I assume it also puts some distance and a cart between me and the orcs. So I move towards Norman and gesture something towards him, like regroup and run.
Yeah, Norman nods in compliance.
Over to Norman.
And I try to gesture something similar to the merchant that's still alive.
Yeah, the one to the north.
Exactly.
Very good. So Norman, you've managed to actually down one of the goblins, and he's currently very vulnerable. Obviously, you can listen to the orders of Oswald, or you can take a chance. Up to you.
How quick do these donkeys tend to move? Like they're fairly slow, I'd imagine, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're probably not going to be able to get out of it here. Should do you think we should just retreat at this point?
TikTok.
TikTok. All right. I think I would like to make some faux bane and try to drink a quick bit of that there.
Cool. So you gotta roll me a intelligence check, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And what's the DC for Phobane?
I think it's 13.
Alrighty.
And,
DC 13. Let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's against Goblins, orcs. I forget what it actually does.
I think I'm going to have it against goblins.
Cool. Yeah,
13.
you've got it. GG.
All right, and it lasts for 1d6 rounds, I think. Yeah, 1d6 rounds. Slash. Three rounds.
Very good. You can
Uh,
add a little icon. There we go. We got a 3.
yeah, and I think I'll just move right back on over here. Just kind of trying to find a better grouping with Oswald there.
Cool. Right, now over to initiative 13, which is the orcs from the north that are now running over your group. One of them rushes up to Oswald and takes a huge swing with his mighty club. Luck check.
I think I'm going to use my luck,
Go for it.
because I'm pretty sure he could knock me down.
Oh, let's see how much
Turns
damage
into
it
a
would have.
19.
Let's see how much damage it would have been. It would have been enough, yeah. He would have knocked you down. So yeah, your luck point comes in. It shines brightly, and you manage to evade the massive swing coming towards you. Alrighty, that's that orc done. The other orcs are rushing in. This one grabs hold of Isabel, picks her up, starts carrying her to the north. Get the others! This one comes over here, pulls out the commoner who's under the cart, kicking and screaming, puts him over his shoulder, and starts carrying him. I mean, he's a commoner. He ain't going to be able to fend off against a big, brutish orc. Alright, they end their turn. Over to the goblins. This goblin's going to stand up. He's pretty pissed off. He's just been hit in the knee. I imagine he spends his turn pulling that out in a lot of pain. The other one is going to fire a shot towards Oswald. Let's just see what the angle's like. It's not particularly great. The orc is pretty big. You're going to have advantage on your block check against this shot, Oswald.
Okay. I'm gonna need that one.
Yeah, you managed to block it. On the other side, this goblin's going to move up behind Norman. Take a swing with his knife. Roll me a block check.
Alrighty. Oh. Need to keep on. Ah, shit.
2 points of damage. 2,
Ooh.
2, 2. They're
I've been
chipping
getting
you
lucky
away.
with these hits here.
This one's going to run around here and fire a shot towards you as well. Another block check.
Alright. Let's see here. Block check.
That's
That
it.
make it?
Ooh, they have a +1 with bows.
Ah,
That's a 12. It gets you. Another 2. 2, 2, 2 against you. You're on 1 hit point now, Norman. And it's looking like you're going to go down. You can try and run, but the goblins have range with their bows. Isabel, you were hit by a club that knocked you down, so you are actually not in dying state. Instead, you have just been knocked unconscious. Pretty clear what the greenskins are trying to do here. They are not trying to kill you. Well, a couple of the goblins are, but that's because they're goblins. Goblins aren't very bright. The orcs are a bit more intelligent. He goes for a big swing. Block check, Norman.
Ooh, okay.
This one moves in. Block check, Oswald.
Ooh, that's a 9.
You're down. Block check from Norman.
All right.
Success. And at this point, you are now surrounded by 5 greenskins. And somehow, Norman, you are holding them all off simultaneously. You watch as Oswald, another man who's been hired, goes down next to you. Be aware, guys, you don't know each other. This is an introduction for your characters to, meet each other, I guess, and whatever else. But you are completely surrounded, holding these all off simultaneously. That is the end of their turn. Top of the round. The goblins skip their turn, leaving it to the orcs to finish you off. It seems they have won. Norman,
All right.
over to you.
I'm gonna speak in Orcish. I'm going to like just raise my weapons and be like, parlay, 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 and just kind of
Charisma.
hope that at this point here, I know there's no way I'm gonna be getting out of this, and just I'm gonna drop my swords and be like, parlay, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done.
Roll a charisma check.
Okay.
You fight well. You be useful. And with that in mind, he takes out a set of manacles, and unless you try to stop him, he is going to put those manacles on your wrist. Your wrist.
I'm just gonna let this happen here. This is
But-
the only way I'm gonna survive.
The success on the 12 that you roll on your charisma, it seems the other orcs have like staved their hand, and it is worth mentioning that like if one of them was to crit you, it wouldn't matter that they were trying to knock you unconscious. They would do so much they could do so much damage to you that they could instantly kill you, like
Yeah, no,
accidentally. It would be.
I'm completely surrendering at this.
Yeah,
point.
so you and I think you understand that as well. Like even out of game, you see that other players are getting knocked out. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that there can't be an accidental death. It does happen.
Mm-hmm.
In situations like this, and the orcs don't really care too much, but it is what it is. And they put the manacles on you and get stepping, and they kind of point back towards the north. With that in mind, one of the orcs who seems to be kind of like the captain, kind of now gives general orders to the rest of the greenskins. Alright, boys, moving out! Back to base!
Alrighty.
Very good. So, with that in mind, Norman, you and the others who have been taken captive are now led from the road up into the nearby hills. The journey ahead is treacherous, and the orcs seem unwilling, unreasonably so, to give you any respite, as they pull you basically on a leash up these hills and over rocks. They strip you of your weapons, they take the equipment from your bag, and one of the orcs is carrying it now in front of you. I'd like you to roll me a strength check, Norman. This is a endurance test, an athleticism test. This is to show the orcs that you can keep up. You understand Orcish language, and I imagine to a lesser extent their society, and as with many greenskins, the mightiest rules, and they respect prowess above anything else. It's prowess and strength in the males, and fertility, beauty in the females. They are a very simple society. But after a day, as at this point the rest of you have come to, manacled and bound, you find yourselves now arriving. There lies ahead a crag, which is basically a cliff. And within, embedded into the side of this cliff, is an entryway. A dark tunnel that leads down into darkness. For whatever sake, it seems to be where these orcs call home. Or at least, that is the case for you, Norman, and you, Oswald. For it seems the greenskins split into two different groups on the way back. Some of them went to one location, and some of them went to another. And so with that in mind, and around a week or two goes by in the world that we are currently in, as you now begin to settle into your new lives as slaves, the orcish greenskins, a fate arguably worse than death, but one that you are willing but unwilling to do. Where Isabel has been taken, you do not know, but for you, Brother Oswald, and for you, Norman, this is your life now. You were taken into a dark place. The place itself seems to be some sort of crypt or ruin. The walls are made of smooth stone, brick, and there are beautiful paintings on the wall. We're not talking like wall paintings that you would like hang up. I'm talking like actually painting on the wall. I forget what the word is to describe such things off the top of my head, but it's what you would expect in a very in like a crypt or a mausoleum or something similar. But that'll be it. Time begins to go by. A mural? Yeah, perhaps a mural. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's good to have people in the chat.
Do I recognize these paintings at all? These murals, and like what society they might have been from?
This is a really good question. You can roll me a intelligence check to see if you can discern that information. 10. The main thing you are indicated is that they are a society of humanoids. Which society you're not sure, but they look like you. There really are only two choices. Either a human society or an elvish society. That is what your 10 tells you. But you are brought into a dark space, and it is rather barbaric. There are small cages, ones that would be appropriately sized for a medium to large dog, and you guys are put into the cages. There is not even enough space for you to stand up. You have to squat or sit in these cages, and you are not able to really stretch your legs. It seems the orcs have done this intentionally, the barbaric fuckers, and you are now property of the greenskins. Your armor is stripped, your weapons taken away. At this point, guys, I'd like you to keep the stuff that you have on your sheets where it is, but be aware by the end of this session or next, you might have to remove half of that stuff, as you might have not been able to reacquire it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, sounds fair.
It's better than stripping everything and then us having no reference of what you had. So, you know, that just seems a bit strange to me. Anyway, you're probably wondering what you're doing down here. And the answer is, you're working in a workshop. The orcs have made one, specifically for the humans, dwarfs, and anything else that they managed to get their hands on to work in. I'd like you to both roll me a con check, and I think actually, Isabel, you can roll too, as you will be brought into the story sooner rather than later. It's very important as a dungeon master, guys, that you keep players involved, and Isabel has already missed a bit of the combat because she was the first to go down, so it's important to bring her in quickly. Natural 1. Okay, good to know. Let me just double check to see what I set the DC is. Funnily enough, guys, I have a whole document written for the next few sessions, but I haven't been using it so far. This is the first time I've actually had to look at it, which is interesting. Okay. So, based on your rolls, Norman, you succeed. Oswald, you fail, and so does Isabel, obviously. In a case of a failure, and this is something that you need to write down on your sheets and try and keep a tab on, I will try to do the same as well. You have a level of attrition. In this case, Isabel, you have 2 levels of attrition. Attrition means you have a -1 to all tests. All checks with a d20 dice. In your instance, Oswald, that's a -1. For you, Isabel, a -2. Because you on a natural 1. Understood?
Understood. We're just going to subtract it from the eventual
totals.
rolls, right? We don't need
Correct.
to change the macros for this.
Correct. I don't want you to change anything, because that sounds incredibly annoying.
Tedious. Yeah.
Or you can
Tedious.
just change the modifier without changing the score.
Yeah, I still think that's a bit unnecessary, but if you want to do that, you can. I just don't, like he said, tedious. But anyway, in his workshop, you are now repairing armor, weapons, creating arrows and bows. You are basically slaves of war, doing whatever you can to help your greenskin overlords into success. If you do not work, you will be punished. And if you continue to defy them, then you have no use to them. You understand?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, let's find out how competent Norman and Oswald are at doing what the orcs want you to do. I'd like you to both roll me an intelligence check. You're both pretty competent. Competent enough that the orcs are pleased, I would say. And it's worth mentioning that the orcs give better food options to the slaves who do more than their fair share of work. So there is positive reinforcement to all of this negative. If you work hard, do your due diligence, you will remain strong, you will remain healthy. Well, as healthy as you can be in a place like this, let's be honest. Not the most lavish of resting places, or not a good hotel, let's put it that way.
Oh, I got another foot in my cage. Sweet.
Yeah, so the less competent amongst, and there's several of you who are here, The less competent are spending time just removing dents from armor, using like a stone hammer. Whereas more competent ones like yourselves are actually fixing the chains of the ring mail and the chain mail that the orcish warriors wear. You're reattaching parts of the plates of the helmets that they wear. You're actually fixing a lot of the more intricate things. And whilst they don't really have somebody really teaching you this, you're having to teach yourselves very quickly. Otherwise, the orcs are going to get angry. Unfortunately, there are a couple of slaves who seem to know more than you, so it's easy to just copy them. Every day you're given food, you're in a room where you just sit down and eat. And whilst orcs can see in the dark, you can't. There is light in this area which allows the slaves to see. Otherwise you would have no use, would you? You wouldn't be able to do anything if you couldn't see in such a dark place like this. But you do get the impression, guys, that the place you're in is a field of orcs. This is basically, it's like an orc tribe down here. So you would presume there would be probably a few dozen or more orcs, as well as, you know, maybe a few more dozen goblins. But the actual place you're in is quite big. It's quite a lot of corridors, and you go through a very large hall where there is lots of tables, and there were orcs sitting at them. You get the impression it's like an eating hall for the orcs, and there were several orcs sitting down just eating their food whilst you guys were being dragged through. But anyway, time has gone by, and we're going to start things off again with the arrival of Isabel. You are brought, I imagine, probably kicking and screaming into this place, having almost escaped in last week's non-live streamed session, only to be caught only maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds away from freedom. But albeit you are alive, you don't know the fate of the other man. You would probably presume he's dead. For the orcs do like to make examples of people who try to run away. But Norman, brother Oswald, you're both sitting down eating food in your manacles, in this room where you just sit on the floor like children, the stone floor, and you're just eating the slop that they've prepared. As you see Isabel now, this woman who you believe you recognize her, see her get dragged in and immediately taken past you guys and into the room where all of the cages are. And the two of you are sitting together.
Shit, she's alive? Oswald, look.
I look around and there's this big look of relief on my face as I see the woman who got knocked down right next to me still being alive.
Yeah. For sake of purpose, I am going to bring you guys to the map and let you see where your tokens are in this space. This map is completely interactive. For anybody interested, it will go up on my Patreon once I'm finished with it. So if you do want to use it for your games, you're very welcome to do so. Why not, YOLO? Let me just move that.
Are we all back up to our max HP at this point?
Yes, you are. But
Okay.
The idea is, I'm not taking HP away from you guys. I'm just taking away, like, how well you function through the attrition system.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another way of kind of taxing you guys in a way. One sec, I'm just gonna add the orcs stationed here.
I would like to mention that my white shirt, there's like a big blood stain on it. And I look extremely hurt and injured.
What did they do to her?
Right. Let me add some light sources so we can actually see.
I'm just gonna take a quick trip to the bathroom. I'll be back in a few seconds.
No problem. Yeah, if either of you need to do the same, now is a really good time whilst I'm getting this set up.
Then I'm going to do a quick run as well.
No problem. Let me know if you guys are in the chat right now, what you're thinking of the carnage so far. This is the introduction to this campaign and this region. Greenskins are one of the major factions that the party will have to deal with moving forward.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
This is a good idea. I can just invert it, can't I? Horizontal. There we go. Oh, brilliant. All good. You'll be joining us next week, or not the week after, I assume. Week after. I'm using Roll20. I find it a lot better for running Shadowdark, funnily enough. Costs a bit more. You have to pay a monthly subscription to get the pro features on Roll20, but the way I will describe it, guys, is Foundry is arguably the better VTT in terms of like what it offers. It offers so many great features, but it is more complicated. And I like how simple, straightforward, and easy to pick up Roll20 is. It's just, out of the two of them, it's just, it's a bit more layman. a bit easier, I would say. I'm using Roll20 Pro. I pay for the subscription. I run a lot of games, so it makes sense. Yeah, I can host. I mean, I've got really good internet. I get like 1 gigabyte download or something ridiculous, and I get like 100 megabyte upload. So internet-wise, I don't have to worry about him. I don't think it really is very intensive on the computer either, so it'd be pretty okay. Yeah, my players.
Also, Loki,
yeah.
If you'd like, I can always code an API for you if you need one.
Code me an API. Well, if you've got any ideas of what it could be, like, there's nothing really on top of my head that I really need right now. I mean, people have pretty much made everything that I can think of.
Okay, I'm just giving you the offer.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe I'll get round to finding something that makes sense. Isabel is wearing a white linen shirt tucked into a short linen thread. Light blue dyed skirt, worn with a pair of black leather gloves and black under the knee leather riding boots. Cool. She usually wears the sleeves of her shirt rolled up to the elbows. The shirt can be worn on or off the shoulders. Shirt is bloodied from being wounded in a goblin nest. Yes. Cool.
So I need to buy a new shirt.
You need to buy a new shirt. That's what we figured out from that. Yeah.
Alrighty.
And get my
so-
leg healed.
We all back, ready to go?
Yep. Yep.
So as you guys can see, just gonna pan over everybody's view to this location here. This is where you guys are currently sitting down on the floor. You're all currently prone. No weapons, no armor. You've got chains around from wrist to wrist, and you also have chains from ankle to ankle. These can be undone, but the ones who have the keys are the orcs. And they have weapons. They have armor.
All right.
So
what kind of
yeah, go on.
Yep. What kind of tools are we working with here?
Well, I guess yeah, I mean, I can tell you. I was gonna wait until the next scene, but it's what you would expect: hammers, chisels, things of the sort, pliers.
All right.
You wouldn't be using saws because you're working with mostly metal.
Mhm.
But you are working with like chisels and hammers and things like that. And there is a small forge in the workshop. But anyway, back to the scene. The two orcs that are watching over you guys, surprisingly, and maybe not surprisingly, can speak common. And one of the orcs growls at you guys and says, "Stop talking! Eat your food! Back to work soon!"
Yeah. Norman shuts up and eats his slop, I guess.
Indeed. Isabel, you're thrown into your cage. The orc next to you just roars and barks at you in orcish before leaving you. And it's worth mentioning that, like, each of the cells has a gate on the front, but it's kind of like a portcullis, right? And they're all attached to a chain that basically suspends the gate above the actual cage, if that makes sense. So the idea is they can pull on a chain that's attached to the ceiling, and when they pull on this, it's like a counterweight, and it allows for the actual portcullis gate to be raised and lowered, trapping you guys in or keeping you out. And there is a chain for each of you. They all go to a master network of chains and in a certain point of the room, but they can specifically pull one chain up and down if they want to just keep one of the cages closed. And in this instance, Isabel, they just shut your cage and leave you in there without your equipment, and he just walks back off. The three orcs now communicate in Orcish. You're able to hear what they're saying, but they speak very quickly, Norman. So roll me an intelligence check to see how much of the conversation you can discern.
Alrighty. Oh wait, is that initiative or is that intelligence? That's initiative. Okay.
INT is
Intelligence.
what you want.
Yep. Aye.
6. You understand very little, apart from that the orc is showing a high level of hostility towards her. The orc now trots by and leaves the scene. You hear the sound of a portcullis being closed to the east. You would be aware from your time here in this prison camp that there is a portcullis that keeps you guys locked in here with the orcs. And it is accessible from the other side. That mind, food is over. And one of the orcs says in common, "Right, balls down, butts up. This way." Feel free to move your tokens. You should be able to do so. corridor is dark. Be aware the orcs can see in the dark. Hurry up!
One second. Do I just go straight forward? Yeah.
You go straight forward to the other side, yeah?
Yeah.
For sake of purpose, guys, I will do a bit of a skip and leave you guys into the next area. But you go around the corner, following this orc. Doors are opened, and you are led in.
Okay.
Alrighty, feel free to choose your workstation. That is what we're doing today, guys. We're not playing D&D. We're doing a fucking simulation game. So those workstations are specifically fixing armor and weapons. This up here is the forge. So if you actually want to smelt and remelt equipment for the orcs, that's where you go. That is the most difficult thing to do. So if you did roll a really high check, you could always go there. Otherwise, feel free to go at one of the normal workstations.
Alright, I think I'm gonna try to do some smelting. And are there any orcs? There's no orcs in here at this time, correct?
They both come in.
Oh, they're both shit.
These are your handlers, and from what you're aware, at least one of them, but no, both of them speak common. And they just sit down at this table over here. If you're looking for an opportunity to talk, the best time to do so is at night. When the orcs, like, bugger off and go drink and play card games.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just, what I'm looking for here is, like, any, like, little teensy, the manacles are like, locks, right? Like,
yes.
They have, like, a keyhole, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna try to look for, like, any tiny, like, little piece of metal that might, like, fit in it and just, like, try to pocket it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is easy to find, but the orcs are watching you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If they see you try and do that, you will be punished.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just wait. I'm gonna bide my time for now and try to do smelting.
All right, roll me an intelligence check, please.
Alrighty. Shit.
You're not doing well today. Oswald, you want to roll a check too?
Yes, it's also intelligence for what I'm doing.
Yes. Well, pretty much anything that can be learnt at a summer camp is intelligence in Shadowdark.
All right. So Oswald is probably fixing armor, and he is actually putting some effort into it. Playing the waiting game here, trying to find the right moment to actually do anything in order to make an escape attempt. So every day he actually puts some effort into his work to keep his muscles working, to move, to not get bogged down by the circumstances.
Be aware, guys, this is kind of like that game, Escapists. If you try to do an escape without having a lot of information and knowing what you're doing, you're going to end up getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
Losing your character is the worst. Is probably the worst thing that can happen, but there are many other things that can happen which are also bad. You can be mutilated, be tortured, kind of the same thing, really. You can be put in solitary confinement. Yes, they do have that.
Alrighty.
But it's with that in mind that this orc here is going to get up, and he says in Orcish, "I'm gonna get the girl. She should work too." The other one nods and now looks at you guys quite intently. His weapon is on the table. Big club. "What are you looking at? Back to work." With that in mind,
Haphazardly smelting today.
the orc comes over to you, Isabel, and in common says, "You cause a lot of problems at our other base. Over here, I'm in charge. You do what I say, or you're dead. Understand?"
I remain quiet.
Good. He now pulls on the chain and raises the portcullis. He ties it to the wall, and comes over, points for you to get out of the cage. You're bound around your ankles and your wrists, and he now starts pushing you towards your location, bringing you into here. Move up! All the men shuffle, including you, Oswald, and he sits Isabel down. Work! You have no idea, like, you know, you've never been here before, you don't know what the protocol is, but you just look at what Oswald's doing. Oswald, what do you say to her?
I try to like quickly and softly say, "Oh God, I'm so happy you're alive." And as I'm saying this, I continue the work I was doing, but a bit slower, with more articulate gestures to kind of give a tutorial to Isabel to show her what she's supposed to do, so
Yeah.
she
Well,
won't fail immediately.
So we already know that you're good at these intelligence checks, so I'm not going to ask you to roll an intelligence check. This is more you teaching. So I'm going to ask you a charisma check.
Okay, my worst stat, I believe.
Uh-oh.
That's
So
a
you do,
six.
you do your best to guide Isabel, but she's been really given a hard time. But you know, Oswald, that if she doesn't start working soon and she doesn't start, like, doing something, the orcs are just going to come over and start, like, beating her, like they do with the other people here. They're not nice, these orcs. They are slave drivers. One of them has a whip that they like to flaunt in front of you guys. Yeah, they're not nice at all. But Isabel, what do you want to do? Do you want to start working? Or
Yeah,
not?
I'll try my best to work, even though I was given terrible instruction.
Yeah, and I'd like you to roll me an intelligence check with disadvantage, please. 2. Oh my god, I can't believe you rolled lower on the second roll. That's a natural 1. So you're doing a real dog's dinner of it. And suddenly, you know, you've got this tray in front of you, you spill it all over the floor. And one of the orcs is very sensitive to noises, and he just has a fucking fit over this. Like, not like genuine, but like he just, you know, gets really angry, frustrated. He gets up, comes over, and with his club he just swings. And I mean, you can't really defend yourself in this situation. He's gonna have advantage, so you can roll me a block check with disadvantage. Yeah, and he just hits you with his club. 3 points of damage. He says, "You stupid! You!" And he points to Oswald. "Pick it up! If she's not useful by the end of the day, she's going in the hot box."
Uh-oh.
On a side note, guys, I'm going to be making more of these camps. If your characters get captured in the future, you're going straight back to one of them. Which is pretty cool. They'll be different, obviously. Some of them will be like above ground as well. But this is a nice entry level one, which I've made. But anyway, so Oswald, you pick up everything, you put it back on the table. Isabel kind of helps, and the two orcs now start laughing and playing with dice, and they're not really paying as much attention to your conversations as they were before.
All right.
So,
I think I'm gonna try to take this opportunity to quickly pocket that little piece of metal.
sure. Roll me a dex check. You pocket it. Add a piece of metal to your inventory.
Yeah. This is a particularly small thing. Would it take up a slot or?
I'd say it's free to carry.
Okay.
But I will say that the man next to you, his name is John, and he says, "Norman, what are you doing?"
Biding time.
Could get killed.
Yeah, it's better than spending my life down here. Now shut up, do your fucking work.
Luck dice for that. That was good.
Very sweet.
Very, very good. So, with that in mind, the remainder of the working hours go ahead. And you guys sit in this room day after day for about, probably around 16 hours. Which is pretty brutal. They are just driving you guys into the ground. They're getting as much use out of you before you die. And you're doing, assumedly, whatever you can to keep yourself strong and healthy. So then you can't be so easily pliable. And it is worth mentioning that whilst I think you guys aren't too fucked by attrition, some of the men around you are really under the effects of attrition. Like, they're some of them are, you can see their ribs. They're very, very thin, very frail, very gaunt, sickly. Some of them have illnesses. Like, they're not doing well at all. But eventually, with the end of the shift occurring, I'd like each of you guys to roll me your final check of the evening. It is an intelligence check, and Isabel, all eyes on you if you can roll above the DC. Success.
We
Rest of you guys need to roll too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
I have a -2 for attrition.
You do. And that brings down to 9, which is the DC. But I have a really interesting idea. And feel free to disagree with me, but I like the idea, considering that you're so new, Isabel, and you don't know what to do. Maybe, Oswald, maybe you swapped your end product with hers. To kind of spare her the hotbox.
Yeah, that sounds like something Oswald would do.
And that kind of makes sense
Isabella
of your
agrees.
roles. That makes sense of your roles.
Yeah, and I think it's something like Oswald is very much about protecting other people, being a cleric of Helm, who's sort of a protector god,
Yeah.
and kind of standing in between evil and other people. I'd rather take the punishment myself than
Yeah.
have it fall upon her.
Yeah. So you swap what you've done with what she's done. So then she looks like she's done well. And the orcs are mortified. You were one of their favourites, Oswald. And he shakes his head disapprovingly. I'm disappointed. You're coming with me! And he grabs you by your scalp and starts dragging you, and it is awful the pain you feel as it drags you out. You can't help but want to scream. Do you try to bite your tongue?
I do. I try to restrain myself, to let out as little as possible.
Ooh. Very good.
I look at Norman.
Norman just kind of like looks over her and like kind of gives her a nod and goes back to finishing the last of his smelting, just kind of relieved that he was able to save himself from his shitty start in the morning. I imagine we're not really allowed to like walk around and leave our spaces.
Once every few days, one of you gets to have the lovely job of carrying buckets full of poo all the way outside of the stronghold and then dumping it in a nearby ditch. But that day is coming up in a couple of days. Somebody will be elected by the orcs to do that job, and they will be watched by the orcs as they do that. Worth mentioning that there's stories from Philip and Bill that there was a man who tried to escape during that period of time. He took up poop and he had put a weapon actually in the bucket of shit to hide it. And then when he got to the surface, he pulled out the blade and turned on the orcs, and the orcs, they killed him. And the reason they know that is because the orcs came down with his head and put it on display for the others as a warning.
All right. Well, do I know where Oswald will have been taken here?
Yes, he's been taken to the isolation cell, which is out of the door and then a left turn to the north of this map. It's down up the corridor. There's a very small cell. It is a 5x5 box, and it's worse than a cage because it's a airtight door and it gets really hot. That's why they call it the hot box. So it gets really, really hot in there, and you're not able to talk to anybody. You get no social contact, and sometimes they leave you in there for days and days. Anyway, the orcs now point and say, "Alright, move it out!" And with that in mind, you guys are now led back into the main room. Over here. And basically, you go back into your cages. This is your opportunity, guys, to pick your cage. Pick a cage, any cage.
I'm gonna sit right next to Isabel here.
The orcs sit down at the table and wait for the other orcs to arrive. And they now switch. These two sit down. These two are just talking in Orcish.
Do I hear what they're saying? What they're talking about?
Fucking hell. Really wish I didn't have to work today. But apparently the chief is raising our hours.
The other orc says,
They're expecting some some more slaves to come soon. Apparently a war party was sent out recently. Let's hope they bring some dwarfs. I'm finding the armor repairs to be a bit shoddy.
That mind the orcs just start talking about their conquests and other things that male orcs would talk about.
Yeah. Is it like kind of like a known thing that I can speak Orcish, like around the camp? Do I like find that that to be the case? Do like people do they talk to me in Orcish or any other way I could deduce that?
Every orc has a 3 in 6 chance of knowing that you speak Orcish.
Okay.
And these are orcs that are relevant to this block. So outside of this block, none of them know that you speak Orcish. But they know you as as Orc tongue.
Okay. Well then.
Or green tongue.
Green tongue.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of like it.
But yeah, so with that in mind, they just go about their business, and you're sitting in the cage next to Isabel. Do you have anything you want to say to her?
Well, I look over to you, and first of all, I'm just like, I didn't think you made it after that one there. After I saw you get hauled off, I just assumed that was that for you. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well.
You have any questions, Isabel? You don't know where you are? You've been brought into a weird place?
What's been going on here?
Honestly, I haven't been able to deduce much other than we're at a slave camp. It appears, like, well, appears that we're arming these folks. So a typically large war band, it seems to be here. Tomorrow, since depending on if Oswald's around or not, I'll help you learn a few things. Maybe I'll convince them to let me speak to you while we're in the chambers, so you get a better handle on things easier. I'm a slave, but I appear to be well liked amongst the slaves, at least.
And the orcs are quite like the orcs really kind of like hate humans, but they feel quite indifferent about you because you've actually gone to the effort of learning their language. So it's interesting enough, a lot of cultures and a lot of different peoples really value when you learn their language and speak to them in their tongue. So whilst obviously you are a slave, they perhaps aren't as heavy-handed with you as they are with the others, unless you give them reason to be heavy-handed.
Yeah, I'll try to talk to them tomorrow. Other than that, if that fails, there's not much else I can do but say, keep your head down, watch others, and try to learn as quickly as possible, or you're not going to make it around here for very long. Christ, especially in the condition that you're in.
They've already dragged away a few people who just weren't able to keep up with the work. You assume that they're dead.
Yeah.
That in mind, the night now begins to roll by, and the orcs have no need to keep the light going. So they just blow it out. The orcs can see in the dark, so they just keep doing their business, having a laugh. It's like dim light, but you know it's still good.
Yeah. Do I ever do they ever leave us completely be, or they always have eyes on us at some point or another?
It's rare. Between the switch in guard, sometimes there's few minutes here, a few minutes there. They seem to be pretty on top of things. When they get drunk, they get a bit sloppy, but they've had very little reason to celebrate. The last time they celebrated is when you actually arrived here. When they brought all of you guys in and put you in the cages, there was a lot of orcs having drink, and they were drinking the wine that they had managed to capture from the caravan, as you can probably imagine.
And so it sounds like there's gonna be a new Hall of Slaves in the next couple days here, upon which they'll get drunk. So that might be... Do I have any idea from like around the time period that might happen? Will it be like a week, or will it be like, you know, like tomorrow, the next day kind of deal?
You don't know.
Okay.
Your character would not know. You heard the orcs talking, but they didn't speak about it in detail because they're not a member of that group. But all you're aware of is that there is an orc war party that are currently on the field, and they are hunting. They are hunting caravans. So they could return with spoils. They might return injured or worse.
That might be our best chance to escape then. All right. Well, I guess with nothing else to do at the moment, Norman will try to get as comfortable as he can, and
all right. Let's
doze off.
Let's sleep then, guys. Oswald, the hot box is rough. You need to roll me a con check. Hopefully you can still find your token.
It's the only thing on my screen, so yeah, I can find it.
Right, roll me a con check. Oh, you got it. Okay, you rolled a 4.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
It's a level of attrition.
Okay.
Worth mentioning that if you rest without gaining any attrition, like on the night, you get to mark one off, basically. The idea is, Oswald, that you've gained an additional 1, and you are accumulating them. But if you are somewhere comfortable, you've had food, you've had water, you are in a relatively comfortable place, then, you know, you can remove 1. So Isabel, Norman, if either of you have a level of attrition, you can mark 1 off.
Yeah, I assume here in the hot box, it's basically way too hot to even fall asleep until I actually pass out from exhaustion and the heat.
Yeah. Pretty much. So with that in mind, the night rolls by, and morning comes. The orcs who are on duty now get up and leave as 2 more orcs step in and take their place. They have 2 watches. There specifically seems to be between 4 and 6 orcs that seem to kind of work with you guys and keep the peace. And these are the ones that struck Isabel yesterday, as well as the ones who put Oswald in the hot box. And as they come in, they bring Oswald in as well and throw you in this cage here. That in mind, there's a pause, and the orc now calls out to you all and says,
"Alright, listen up, prisoners. Today you're gonna be working on weapons. Axes, swords, clubs and hammers. You're each gonna be given a type of weapon, and you're expected to make as many as possible. Whichever one of you does the best will be given a proper meal tonight. No slop or plop, but meat. Venison. Is that understood?"
people are nodding.
Yep, just nod.
And anyone who thinks about taking the piss. As you can see, this one here took the piss. He doesn't look too good for it, does he?
Pointing that towards Oswald.
You don't want me to get my whip.
With that in mind, the orcs now posture themselves. They have their weapons out. One of the orcs steps over to here, in this corner, and pulls on the master chain as all of the portcullises now begin to raise. And this orc is incredibly strong. He's probably like 22-inch biceps.
Jesus.
And he just pulls it open and wraps it around a iron spike that's been nailed into the wall, and he just wraps it around so it kind of holds in place. And the other orc now postures and says,
Oi! Into the food chamber, time for breakfast.
feel free to move your tokens, guys.
Alright. Food chamber. Down here.
Yarp. Ben, Bill, and John. There we go. They're all sitting down. An orc comes in. Despite his art, this orc looks different. He's got no armor, no weapons. Instead, he has an apron and a tray with a kind of big... I guess it's not a tray, actually. I guess it's like one of these big iron pots. And he puts it down on the floor and just begins putting bowls and scooping the bowls in, and then just, handing it over to you guys as you're going to line up and take your slop and sit down. Afterwards, the orc leaves. You hear the sound of the portcullis to the east being lowered as he goes through. The two orcs now posture, weapons to their side, and you guys eat.
I begin eating. Do I know either of these orcs' names?
Roll me a intelligence check. Let's see if you have discerned that information. No, you have not. They try and avoid using their names with you guys. Perhaps it's in the orc code of conduct for being slave keepers, is that they don't want to get too close to their slaves.
Oh well. I'll keep my ear out for that.
Okay. So you continue to eat your slop for breakfast, and upon finishing it, you guys are all brought to the workshop. There, you work on a variety of weapons, and for the sake of purpose, I'll just move your tokens over. We'll keep it nice and easy today. Roll me your intelligence checks, please.
Okay, so despite my exhaustion, I'm working hard. Oh, nice. I'm really trying to do anything I can to get a decent meal tonight. I know that if at any moment a chance for escape would come, I need any sort of strength I can get. So
Yeah.
I put everything I can into it.
I love that.
Norman typically doing very well with his stuff, being quite confident that he's gonna be getting a nice venison steak tonight, looks over and sees Oswald, and then he just like seeing that he's like clearly doing better than him today, his jaw just like drops for a minute and like gives him like a dirty look. Fucking bastard.
Those are some of the roles of the other people who are here. They've all succeeded, funnily enough. Though the attrition would probably make that 9 a failure. For sake of purpose, the orc comes over and grabs Philip and just throws him to the ground and just shouts at him for not doing good enough. Orcs are very stubborn, and even if it isn't your fault, they will think it's your fault. That's just how they work. They don't have any true form of rationality. But, albeit, the day runs by. Oswald, you're working on maces and hammers, something you've had time working with in the past. Norman and Isabel, primarily swords and axes in front of you. Sharp blades. Your job is to make them not dull, so you've been sharpening them with specific stones made for that process, sharpening stones. And you've also been reapplying axe heads onto the actual, what's the word, the shaft and the handle. It's a bit of a process, but with every weapon you finish, you put them in one of the 4 boxes on the western side of this. The haft, thank you. Yeah, the haft, as you putting the haft into the axe head. But albeit, it comes towards the end of the day. The orcs are incredibly bored, but this is their fucking job. This is how they survive in this place. And orcs don't really get paid. They just have a job. It's very weird. It's sounds a bit communist, really, but
I was gonna make they're all Reds joke kind of.
Yeah, the hammer and anvil. Yeah. But albeit, yeah. So they are definitely very much all with a goal, all with a purpose. Hammer and sickle. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. I want to say hammer and anvil. Yeah, that's a bit more dwarven communist. But anyway, day comes to an end, and you guys are now taken from the room and brought back into the eating area. There, you are given your slop. I'll move your tokens, don't worry. And as food starts to be handed out by one of the chefs, the other chef comes in with a plate, probably about a foot or so wide, and on it, fresh venison, greens, potatoes, a very, very hearty meal. And one of the orc, one of the men who's kind of like, well, one of the orcs who's overseeing you says to the chef,
Are we getting that as well?
and the chef turns around and says,
No, only for the best slave and the chief. That doesn't seem fair. How about you take it up with the chief? No, absolutely not.
with that in mind, he now pauses and scans you guys and then turns to the orcs and says,
Which one of them has done the best? That one. He was in the hot box last night. But he's made a good bit of work for himself today. Haven't you?
with that in mind, the food is now given to you. And as it's put on the floor in front of you, you just look at the food, Oswald, and you feel joy. This is like the best food you've seen probably in a very, very long time.
Yeah,
Suddenly,
I think even before we got captured, I didn't eat like this.
I don't think you've ever really eaten like this. And the orc now stands over you and your food. He just looks down at you as you sit on the floor, and he goes, and just spits in your food.
I don't even care. Like
Yeah,
I see this like meat, fresh, full of protein, fresh vegetables. It's a bit of orc spit won't ruin that meal for me. I
Do
mean,
you
I know the
how
orcs are cruel.
how do you want to convey that, like, in person? Are you just like smiling at him like, yeah, I don't really care? Or
Do we have any form of cutlery or something?
you gotta eat with your hands?
In that case, I just want to pick up the meat and take a bite right out of the part where he spat on, as he stands before me.
Roll me a charisma check.
Damn, that's a 3.
The orc takes disrespect. He wanted to make you feel bad, and you're not feeling bad, so he kicks you in the face. he just kicks you, and you fly back. Your head hits the stonework on the floor, and the food just flies, and that does piss you off. You manage to scramble back and you start trying to retrieve the food and bring it in, but now it's just covered in dirt and grime, and you put it back on the plate and the orc steps back. And the chef kind of is unamused by this. He just kind of rolls his eyes and just walks away with the mostly empty iron pot, whilst the 2 guard orcs just kind of chuckle and laugh at your dismay, Oswald.
Yeah, I'm generally pissed off by this, but
You are, yeah.
The herbs on this plate.
What herbs? Can I use these to make a poison? Right.
Well, yes.
No,
No.
definitely not. There's no herbs in it. It's very plain, and it's
going
not
to
very nice
poison the
food.
orcs with some oregano.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very simple stew. It's basically the equivalent of like a stew of the day that you would get at a tavern, but it's of orcish quality, which means it's even worse. Stew of the day is basically a pot of food that is always being slow cooked, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they just add shit to it every day. But you could be eating today's meat, yesterday's meat, the day before's meat. It's a very hearty meal. It can make you sick, but that's what you've been eating every day. And I would say this, because of the time period we're in, like, people are able to eat this kind of food and be okay, I would say. But you know, you've got a bit more constitution, I would say. You're able to kind of handle this kind of stuff, and as it's a really bad batch and the meat's been like undercooked or something like that. But albeit, yeah, it's just a very simple stew. Whatever meat they have, whatever vegetables they have, yeah, very simple. Anyway, you eat your food. The orcs watch you, and now they lead you back towards bed. Sake of purpose, guys. Unless there's anything you would like to do in the evening, I would like to perform a time skip and bring you to the next part of the story.
I don't think I have anything particularly that I can think of at the moment here.
No, I'm fine with that. Do we heal at all, by the way, or do we just remove attrition and then we heal?
The idea is if you, yeah, I think the idea is that you do heal. So tonight, I would say, I don't like the full heal system. So what I'm going to say, and I think this is going to be something that we're going to be doing moving forward, rather than just full healing, you actually have to roll the equivalent of your hit dice to heal in this. So rather than just getting back all your HP, you roll a d8 or a d6 or a d4 based on what your hit dice is. Does that make sense?
So should I do that for last night as well?
Please. But anyway, the next day begins, and you guys are brought from your cages. You have breakfast, and it's business as usual for the orcs. You're taken into the workshop, where you work on a variety of things. It's not weapons day anymore. Oswald, I will say, you lose a level of attrition, yes.
Alright.
But I'm going to say as well, did you only have one level of attrition?
I had two. One from the hotbox and one from the start.
Okay, so if things had gone differently, I would have removed both your levels of attrition. But because of the way things happened and how your food got all contaminated, I'd like you to roll me a con check. You roll high, you get rid of the second level. You roll low, you keep it.
Alright, that's fair.
DC 15. That in
I
mind,
fail.
you still have one level of attrition, but you do manage to mark one of them off.
Okay.
Actions have consequences in this, and be aware the orcs are within their right at any moment to turn around and execute one of you guys, and that's your character gone. Like, there's no coming back from that. In this campaign, the Dungeon Master, I am judge, jury, and executioner in this situation. But albeit, slop is given to you guys. You're brought into the workshop. It's business as usual. You are making, repairing armor, weapons, making arrows. You're even working on slings today. As apparently the goblins are using slings now for some reason. Who the fuck knows? Maybe it's a bludgeoning weapon rather than a piercing weapon. And you really do understand that these orcs, this is their livelihood, right? This is what they do. They are genuinely slavers. It's their job. It's basically their job title. They capture people on the roads, bring them here, and get them to work to, develop further their war goals, their war party. You're just a part of the machine, the war machine. But the day now begins to go by, and I'd like each of you to click on your tokens where they are currently. Let's just pretend that we're in a workshop. I'd like you to roll intelligence. So, very good rolls, guys. The orcs are pleased with your progress. You've done a lot of good work today. Oswald's rolled really high. One of the weapons that you've actually fixed today, Oswald, is a dagger. And it doesn't look like the orcish blades. It looks, well, quite frankly, it looks different. More exotic, more rare, more valuable. You want to throw it on the pile?
Yeah, I assume I don't really have any place in my equipment or something to hide it, do I? I'm basically
You're not
most likely
naked.
just wearing rags or something.
You're wearing your clothes. I hate to say this. This is not what I would ever think of saying in a D&D campaign, but you could always keister it. You can always just pop it down your shirt, put it in a
Plug
sock.
it in your prison wallet.
I think now that I've regained some strength, I've seen Norman doing some stuff. Isabella's back. I think I have gathered enough hope to take the risk.
So what are we going to do?
So I am going to try to hide it underneath
Alright.
my clothes, perhaps like stick it underneath my shirt within the band of my pants to keep it stuck there.
Yep.
And hoping it doesn't stab me as I make any unexpected movements.
Roll me a dex check as you try to smuggle the blade. You now slip it down your shirt, hoping that the orcs didn't see. The orcs now begin to lead you back towards the area for eating. As you look off ahead, you see commotion at the portcullis. The other 2 orcs that are normally on shift are here, and there appears to be a lot of other individuals behind them. They're yelling and shouting as the portcullis is being raised, and you watch now as new people are brought into this place. The orcs are cheering, they're laughing. It seems, once again, they have been successful in their endeavours. The orcs do truly see humans as stupid, which is kind of funny, all things considered. Because usually, I imagine, humans feel the same way about orcs. But the orcs are like, why are the humans travelling on these roads with so little protection? It's almost too easy, is what the orcs think, as they bring in this group of people. And it's quite a few. You know, we're looking at 9 individuals. The orcs at the front are talking with the orc that is leading you guys back to the cells. You can just hear the orcish grunting of their language. Norman, do you want to try and understand what they're saying?
Yes, I would. Intelligence check?
Yes, please. Very good roll. You understand the conversation perfectly. And what the orcs say is the following.
We've been successful on the roads. These are all under your command now.
The orc that you've been talking, that's been leading you says,
That's quite a lot of them, though. I don't think we've got enough cells.
The other orc shrugs and says,
Well, they're going to be here temporarily. Figure out who amongst all of the slaves are the worst. They're going to go to a different camp.
He just starts chuckling, and then the other orc kind of understands, and he starts chuckling and laughing too.
Right.
And he kind of whispers in. Roll me a wisdom check to see if you can hear what the whispering is.
The quarry, right?
The other orc nods. That in mind, they're now all led in chains. Amongst them, you see a number of individuals who look to be of fighting stock, but also a lot of non-combatants. And even a child. With that in mind,
Alright.
the orcs now begin to leave, laughing and cheering. You can already see some of the orcs at the back with grog in hand, having a sip, having a gulp. It is a time of celebration for the orcs.
Alright, party's over. Move in.
Right, you guys can move your tokens forward, back into the chamber where you eat.
Dinner time. This is my spot.
So, that in mind, the chef comes in, and you each get your slop. And another chef comes in as well, and takes slop in to the other area to hand food to the people in the cages. And actually, as he tries to pass this orc stops him and says,
No. They've got to be weaker first. Some of them are probably still too strong. We've got to break them. No food tonight for them.
and the chef nods and returns. The other one leaves as well. You guys now eating your slop, sitting together. Anything you guys want to say?
Now's probably the best time to make a move since they're fresh.
Yeah. I suppose. Well, what should we do then? Because at this point here, we don't really know anything else about the layout. So I feel like we should find some way to try to get into other parts of the of this place. We shouldn't try to make a break for it until one of us has actually taken the latrine out.
There'll be a lot more poo
So-
now. Yeah, a lot more poo with all these extra bodies. So they'll probably need to do it more often as well.
Yeah. How often is that typically done? Like once a week?
It's
Or,
once every. It's really up to them. The orcs decide. They're very arbitrary. Every 2, 3, 4. The worst it's been is actually you haven't been here that long. Yeah, I'd say it's been 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so one of us is gonna be taking out the latrine pretty soon here.
It could be one of the other people as well. Last time it was Philip who went.
Norman and I were both unconscious when we came in. But
Well, you were unconscious. I wasn't.
oh yeah, you weren't unconscious. Did you see anything?
Yeah, actually,
That you were
I'd like to ask that. Do I have an idea of what the layout might have been, being that I was taken here, still awake?
Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
I'll show you.
Okay. Here. Okay. Oh shit.
Dining hall.
Okay. All right. So, okay, that's not too big of a stretch to make at this point. Does it look like all of the people have been taken into their cells at this point here?
Yeah, they've all been taken in. They've all been locked up. The orcs that have accompanied them have now left. There is a bit of discussion between the orcs. It seems they are going to be adding more orcs to the daily duties now that there are more people here.
But they haven't yet.
Not yet.
Okay, then this might be our best chance to make a break for it. But we're still all in manacles though, so
You're all in manacles, you have no weapons, you have no armor. You do not know where your armor is being kept, or any of your equipment. Be aware, guys, that you might escape and not have any of your equipment. If that happens, this will be a very Conan-styled adventure, where you're just trying to get back to civilization in one piece, using whatever you can to survive.
Hmm. There were no weapons in the shop today, yeah?
In the shop.
Other
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there were. I remember saying that there was a dagger, which Oswald currently has. There were other weapons in the workshop, and that is the only place nearby where you could get weapons and armor. But a lot of the armor is made for orcs, and I don't think you guys, any of you, have the build of an orc. So I don't think it would fit you well, which means that there would be penalties of wearing orc armor. But the weapons would work.
Alright. And there's just these two in here right now.
There are these two in here, and the idea is that there are more orcs to the east, down the corridor to the right. I don't know why another torch keeps spawning. It's kind of annoying. There we go.
Quite useful in Shadowdark, actually.
Pardon? There we go. So yeah, there is a portcullis to the east. It's in this location here. It is raised and lowered. It's how they keep control of the situation. And there are typically orcs stationed on the other side of the portcullis, ready to raise it or lower it. But they're not like standing there looking in. They're like nearby. If that makes sense.
Alright. I feel like if we are able to take these two out quietly, we have a chance of making it out of here today. Do we think that, well, only one of us has a weapon right now, right?
The orcs do have weapons on them. They are non-lethal weapons though. They have clubs.
Alright.
And
did I see Oswald pocket that dagger, or are you gonna try to convey that information to me at some point here?
Yeah, I think if we have some moment where
you can whisper amongst yourselves.
exactly when we have a moment to whisper when the orcs aren't paying close attention to us, then I do share this information.
It is worth mentioning the two orcs. There's a lot of conversation going on between them about what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like this is obviously a very
So,
interesting time for the orcs.
Well, while that's happening, I'm going to let's just go on into this like little corner like behind these two people here and start like whispering like I'll share the fact that I've got like a little teeny piece of metal here that I might be able to use as a pick. So if we just kind of like stay in this corner and try to make the break for it now, when they like begin to take us back, maybe you stab one of them in the back and try to maybe then me and Isabel can try to wrestle the other one to the ground and choke it unconscious.
Do either of you have any thoughts, any ideas? Can't let Norman have all the ideas.
Maybe you could go talk. Maybe you could go talk to one of them and perhaps distract one, or both, while Norman and I, or Oswald and I, sneak around.
Be aware, with the manacles on your ankles, you move at half speed every round. Any attacks you make with the manacles equipped, disadvantage.
Where are the chamber pots?
Chamber pots. So there is a small poop pot in each of your cages. The idea is that these pots are all piled up, which is absolutely disgusting, but the orcs don't care too much for sanitary stuff, right? All the pots are dumped into a big kind of iron pot or a bucket, and it's with that one person carries that outside.
Yeah. I kind of like go over to one of the orcs. I'm just like I speak in Orcish. I'm apologize to bother you, boss, but I really ought to take a piss right now. I can't hold it much longer.
Roll a charisma check.
All right. Charisma Summonisiana.
He pauses and then says,
Then piss. Now.
and he now looks at you in the eyes. And you know what he's telling you to do?
Yep. I guess. So I assume that he just wants me to go and piss on the wall then.
No, he wants you to piss yourself as you stand there.
Yeah, as I stand there.
Yeah. Are you gonna do that, or are you just gonna walk back and sit down?
I guess I'm just going to.
For clarification, you failed the charisma challenge.
Yeah. I'm gonna just piss myself then. I just kind of like roll my eyes. I'm like, fine.
You pitch yourself on the spot. Very weird. This is happening on a YouTube live stream. Hope you guys are enjoying, by the way. Everybody who's watching. You get a luck point for following through. You get a luck point for that. But yeah, all of the other indentured servants here just watch you piss yourself. And you get the impression that you had no choice. If you tried to walk away, the orc would have struck you for not following an order.
Mm-hmm.
And after doing so, the orc says,
I bet you feel better now, don't you? Now sit down.
and he points back to where you were before. Not to sit down in your piss, to sit back where you were.
Well, I guess that's that plan out of the water here.
So with that in mind, they're now beginning to finish up.
All right, let's brainstorm ideas here real quick. I'm starting to run dry. If we're able to kill these two, we can release the rest of the prisoners, go down to the shop, and try to arm everybody and just take a full frontal assault on this.
I think that's our only option at the moment, aside from waiting longer. Who knows much longer?
Mm-hmm. And who knows when an opportunity like this is gonna come again? Because right now, all the orcs are getting pissed drunk in the dining hall, I'd assume.
Exactly. Another opportunity could take days, weeks.
Maybe longer.
I'd say we try it.
Yeah. So, on the way back, when they lead us back up and they have their backs turned to us, I guess Oswald, you try to kill one. Me and Isabel are gonna try to choke another one out as quietly as we possibly can. If you have a luck point, I recommend you use it then.
Alrighty. So with that in mind, the orc now points and says,
Slaves! Cage!
and points. You guys now go back in.
So we're going ahead of them, yeah?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's how they always do it.
Alrighty. Then I guess let's wait to one corner then. Once we get in here.
Yeah, people all begin to funnel in because these guys aren't a part of your plan.
Isabel, Oswald, you go on the other side. Isabel, you on this side, and we'll just like flank them both here.
At this point, guys, I want you to each roll me a charisma check to see if they can tell that you're being a bit shifty. 13, 6, 16. They notice Isabel not going towards her cage. So they now step around the corner and peer in.
What are you doing? Get in your cage! Now!
Are we gonna go through with it here, or are we gonna wait on it?
Do they appear to be focused on Isabel?
I mean,
Both
you're not in your cage either. If you want to go climb into a fucking cage, they might not be as focused.
I want to start moving towards my cage.
Yeah, I guess this one's not gonna work then.
They both now step forwards, weapons ready. One of them's got his weapon out, the other one's just pointing, and he's not got his weapon drawn.
As they have their weapons drawn and are actually focused on all of us, I think I'll wait for a better opportunity to strike, so I don't actually stab anyone yet.
Yeah,
nor grab my dagger.
I just kind of like look around and I'm like, boss, there's I don't have a cage. You want me to double up with someone?
York scratches his head, not knowing simple math.
Thought there enough cages. Okay.
And with that in mind, he now gestures for you, Norman, to follow him. Well,
Okay.
there's John and Bill. And Sammy goes and sits in her cage.
Alright. I shrug and I begin to follow him.
I look over at Oswald.
Have they closed the cages yet?
No, but this orc is now, and it's this moment, guys, just for this situation to unfold. I want you guys to click on your tokens, roll initiative for me. This is just a dungeon crawl. This is like a dungeon crawl round right now, so it's important. It's imperative that you actually have an initiative, so I can dictate the movement of things. So if you lose your opportunity, it's because of a dice roll rather than me being arbitrary and saying the orc does this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really fair.
What can I say? I'm very
Right.
fair.
And at this point, so I don't piss
Pause.
my pants in real life,
Pause.
I'm going...
Go to the toilet. Go to the toilet, it's fine. I was going to say, I'm not ready to start yet. I need to roll initiatives.
Pause. No,
Okay, in that case, I'm going to fetch some water real quick. 10 seconds or something.
Fine. And me as well. I haven't had a break yet, guys, so 1 minute.
All right. So
I have returned.
yep, I've returned as well. I think we should go for it. I think that right here, I might have to choke this orc out, or try to by myself. I might give you guys like a little whistle here, and try to choke him out, and with my manacles, and you guys try to go and stab the other one. Or you want to know what? Maybe I can stab him with my little teensy piece of metal here. You think that would do anything there, Loki? Is he around?
I just checked in on the live stream. I think he's also
Yeah.
getting something to drink or going to the bathroom or something.
Okay. So then, yeah. So you guys think that's what we're gonna go for? We're gonna take the gamble here, or should we just wait at this point and see where this guy's taking me?
No, this is the best opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is the moment to strike.
The orcs are far enough away from each other where they're not gonna like gang up on us, but we're close enough to each other where we can support each other.
All right. Yeah.
All right, good to go.
Alrighty, so I think we've all decided on the plan here.
All right.
My turn.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I will describe it as such, and then we'll be into initiative.
Yep.
There we go. So, this orc here now turns to the right and begins to walk towards the master chain, which is attached to the wall here. Once he unravels the binding, it will lower every single portcullis, every single of the cages in the room, all of the gates will shut. And they will not be able to be opened very easily. It's very, very difficult to open these gates. Because they lock once they slam shut. On the other hand, this orc here is guiding you guys, and he's leading you towards the exit, the portcullis to the east.
Alrighty.
And that's where we will start things, as it's now your turn, Norman.
Okay. Do I have to burn luck points before I roll, or can I do that after?
In Shadowdark, you can do it after.
All right.
But you have to take the new roll. You don't choose the higher one of the two. So whatever your re-roll is, that is what you stick with, even if it's lower.
Okay. Then I am going to wrap my manacles around this guy's throat and try to pull him down and try to choke him out.
All right. That is a strength challenge.
Oh boy. 17. Yes, let's go.
That is a very good roll. Is it going to be good enough? The orc has a +2 to their strength. 3, 2, 1. As you begin choking the orc out. It's worth mentioning these gargles and groans of pain are muffled and not too easily detected. But Bill and John look on in shock and confusion, not really sure what to do. Anything else?
I just give him like a pure look of rage and like try to like communicate best, and I would just kind of like say as like I'm trying to crush this orc's throat here. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Not a word from you two.
Roll me a charisma check. Let's see if you've got a snitch.
Oh boy.
You've been one of the top slaves here for a while. Maybe Bill or John wants to take your spot. But based on your 15, you managed to intimidate them into silence. And they now stand perfectly still as you begin to choke this orc out. Strangulation takes a bit of time. The idea is that you need to hold the grapple, this strangulation, of the orc for a number of rounds. The number of rounds that you're going to need to do is a D4. So I'm going to roll that now.
Oh boy.
I guess it couldn't be minimum of 1, because then it would just be like the end of the round. No, I guess it could be. 3 rounds. Very good. And that means that you have to contest their grapple checks, and you have to succeed, otherwise they will break the grapple. But whilst in this moment, he's technically grappled, he can't move, unless he overpowers you. And he is kind of, relatively speaking, I think attacks against him have probably got advantage, I don't know. But I will say, that's the end of your turn, Norman.
Alrighty. I'm happy with that.
It's worth mentioning that the orc suddenly snaps and sees what Norman's doing to his buddy. And these two orcs, they're friends, right? They've been here together. They're on the same shift now for longer than you've been here, you assume. And Oswald, it's now your turn.
Yeah, so the other orc is not really looking in my direction, right?
Sure.
And the cages were still open since he was...
Correct.
In that case, I basically want to move towards him and find out whether it's either the throat or the abdomen, something that seems to be somewhat unprotected. Take out my dagger and try to take him out.
Go for it.
Can I just use my mace roll for daggers, or do they have completely different stats?
I don't know. A dagger is a D4.
Dagger's a D4. Okay. Then I'll just use the hit roll for my. And then mace's strength is dagger. Is that also strength or?
I think so. I will say this. I would request that you make a dagger one after your turn. That's okay. Because you might be using it again.
Okay.
It might be a part of your build now to have a dagger as an offhand.
Then I'll just use the mace one for now, but
okay.
Roll damage separately, because the mace is a d6, I believe.
Sure.
So if it hits...
15 hits.
15 hits, so that's a d4.
It is a nasty strike as you stab the orc in the side of its throat. It isn't lethal, but the orc now begins to drip with blood that's gushing from that wound. End of your turn?
Yes, well, I want to make some sort of gesture, if possible, to everyone to get out of their cages while they can. And to... Well, I think that's all I can do.
Yeah, roll
Just
me
hope
roll a
Isabel takes
charisma
over
check.
for me.
Oh, do you have a luck point, man?
Not anymore, sadly.
People are horrified and afraid. The people who've just been brought in look bloodied and beaten. None of them leave their cage. Isabel. What do you want to do?
Seeing that the orc is distracted, after being stabbed in the throat, I'm gonna come up behind him, and then I'm gonna wrap my chain from my manacles around his neck and begin choking him.
Alright, roll me a strength check, please.
I also have grit on strength.
No, you have advantage.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
With that in mind, you snap the orc's neck And the orc is dead.
Oh, we're golden. We're golden.
The orc that you are strangling now uses his action to try and break out of the grapple. Roll me a strength check to oppose Norman.
Alrighty. Nat 20. Let's go.
Awesome.
Brilliant, guys. Well done. And with that in mind, the orc now begins to run out of time. 2 rounds remaining before he passes out from the strangulation.
I kind of like look over to Oswald, seeing that that the Oswald and Isabel did their part, and I'm just fucking.
So, Norman, is there anything... Obviously, you're maintaining the strangle, which arguably is your action. It's kind of like the equivalent of a focus, or a focus spell. But would you like to move? Because you could drag this orc.
Yeah. I'm gonna start dragging him back into the cage, or the holding area over here.
Cool. And it's half speed for you to be able to drag the orc.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're able to drag him kind of away from the main passage that any orc could look down and see what's going on. But yeah, you managed to kind of drag this guy in. Oswald, what do you want to do?
I think I'm just going to try to, while this orc is being grappled, to just... I have no idea how long it will take to choke him, so I'll probably just try to take him out as well, to just hurry things up and get us out of here.
Yeah, go. Based on the natural 20, I'm going to give you an advantage on your attack.
Awesome.
Because of
Let's
Norman's
see if my dagger macro
pressure.
works.
Let's hope it does. Yeah, it does. You do have advantage. So a 19 does hit. We'll take the first set of damage. And that is 2 points of damage to the orc.
Great.
Isabel, it's your turn. What do you want?
I'm gonna come over here.
Yep.
I'm gonna grab the orc's club that I assume is in his belt, and I'm gonna beat him with it.
I'm thinking right now, did he have it out at the moment? He was leading them back. He has the club in his hands.
Okay, I'm gonna rip the club out of his hand then.
Very cool. Yeah, roll me. It's I'd say a strength challenge, which you can the orc will oppose. Yeah, you managed to pry the club from the orc. I will say that does require your action, but the orc is now disarmed and being choked out. It's the orc's turn. The orc is going to try and overpower Norman and escape. Norman, please oppose with a strength check.
Alrighty.
And
Oh,
Norman
I'm on a roll here today.
Norman is on a roll right now, guys, and the orc continues the process. Down 1 round remaining. It's your turn again, Norman.
Alright, I'm going to... I assume, is that the same as last time where I just, I have him in my grips? I guess I'm just going to, hold him, continue to hold him here at this point. There's not really much else I can do.
Okay,
Other than
well...
maybe I'll pull him further back into the room.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to do, expediency matters. Okay,
Yeah.
we're running. The session's almost over, so every second we sit here, from a moment that we're not going to push things forward. So, do you want to move him further in?
I'm just gonna stay there. I'm just gonna hold him.
Oswald.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna repeat my move. Just try to take this orc out as quickly as possible so we can get out of here without having to worry about it.
Yeah, I'd say no longer advantage. It's a standard attack, but a 13 hits. How do you finish off this orc because he's being choked out?
So basically, while the orc is squirming and gurgling and trying to get himself out of Norman's very strong grapple, I stab him in the stomach, hit some sort of intestine, and he just basically loses the strength to resist, and eventually the choking is actually what kills him.
Nice. Brutal.
Clink. All right, and immediately after that, I'm gonna kind of like take out that little piece of metal and start working on my manacles as quickly as I possibly can.
Okay, well, that's Oswald's turn. It's Isabel's
wait.
turn next. We're
Right,
still in crawling
yeah.
rounds. This is Shadowdark, sir.
Yes.
But the quicker you guys act on your turns, the quicker the next person gets to act, and the quicker you get to act again. So expediency matters in crawling grounds. Isabel.
I'm gonna move over here, and can I grab that torch?
Yep, you can take it straight off the wall.
Yep, I'm gonna do that as my action, and then I'm gonna finish my movement by moving up with it.
Okay. Both the orcs are now dead, and it's back over to Norman.
Yep. I'm gonna do what I said before. Just drop the orc and start immediately working on my manacles.
How are you going to work on them? What are you doing?
I've got that little piece of metal. Right.
Okay.
That yeah. I'm gonna try to pick the lock with them if I can.
You are not a thief, so you can still try and lockpick, but I'm giving you disadvantage
All right.
on a dexterity challenge. Turn comes to an end. You have not yet been able to get rid of your manacles. Oswald, over to you.
Yes, I attempt to drag this orc towards a cage, and then once again attempt to get the people moving.
It is now officially round 1. Every number of rounds up to my, arbitrarily decided by me, I will roll for a random encounter. Time is not on your side.
Yeah, so I want to drag this orc into this cage over here. No need for a strength roll?
I imagine you're able to do it. It's difficult, but it takes all of your movement.
Okay, and then I want to check if the orc has anything on its body that could be useful for either one of us.
You pat the orc down, and he has a set of keys on him. You can roll me a d6 to see if he has anything else. This is a treasure roll, actually, so if you click on treasure roll, never mind. Yes, he has treasure. Roll me a d100 for what you find.
83.
83. I hope it's not a fucking polearm. Imagine that. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, this orc that you guys were dealing with, he's wearing what would be considered an orcish surcoat, which is another layer of armor over the armor that he was originally wearing. And the reason why is because his original armor is shoddy in places, and this surcoat kind of gave him that extra bit of protection that he needed. I guess he wasn't expecting to be stabbed in the throat and choked out, but potato, right? As an item, it can't be carried, but as a set of armor, it can be worn.
I'd like to wear it. I mean, I assume I'm not wearing my leather armor. I assume that has been stripped off by the orcs when they captured us.
Correct.
Does it seem in any way adequate for my body?
Yes.
And then I try to equip it, if that's still possible within my turn.
I don't know how long it takes to equip armor, but I imagine it takes a amount of time. I will say that this is equivalent to a gear slot, so make sure you put it on the gear slot section. And this will give you 11 plus dex.
11 plus dex. Okay, then I'm changing that on my character sheet.
To 12. Cool. Brilliant. So you kind of start putting on the surcoat, you end your turn, but you do have keys now. Do we get experience for that? I will tell you how much experience you get once we finish the session. But, Isabel, over to you. What do you want to do? I can't hear.
I'm gonna keep moving down the hall.
Okay. You're gonna run down the hall. You remember you can double move in Shadowdark, which is a dash, if you wish.
I don't want to get too far from the party, so I'm just gonna end my turn.
Cool. Norman.
I see that Oswald has found the keys, so I'm just gonna like look over and be like, "Hey, come here, give me those. We can get out of this shit."
So yeah, Norman, you can take the keys from Oswald and begin to get yourself out if you wish.
Yeah, I'm gonna unlock myself here.
Yeah, and with a key in hand, you don't even need to roll a check. You're able to undo the manacles around your ankles, and once that's done, it requires a bit of finessing, but you manage to undo the ones on your wrists as well. You're a free man, kind of.
I assume that's my action. I guess I'm going to start making my my way down the hall as well.
Indeed. I will say, guys, G was right to ask. You each gain 1 experience point.
Alrighty.
Remember, in Shadowdark, unless I tell you, killing orcs, for example, will not get you experience. Getting treasure and equipment is what gives you experience. Alright, end of your turn then, Norman. Over to Oswald.
Yeah, I'll end my turn there.
Okay, in that case, can I reach where Norman is with my manacles still on?
I assume I give him back the keys after I'm done with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, I want to remove my manacles with the key and then just follow him.
In hindsight, Norman, try and remember details like that in future. I'll give you this time, but yeah, you gotta remember.
I will.
Player skill versus character skill in Shadowdark. So yeah, Norman, you hand over the keys to Oswald. Oswald, you manage to use your action to unbind yourself. You now have free range of movement.
Okay, then I basically follow Norman, and I hope/assume that the commoners will sort of follow us.
Commoners seem to be terrified, but some of them do start stepping out of their cages as you kind of end your turn, Oswald. Isabel.
Okay, I'm gonna move.
Just remember, guys, I know it's difficult to maybe understand this fully, but the prisoners that have just been brought in, they've probably had their morale crushed by the orcs. Like they've just took a massive defeat. They've probably watched others die. They've seen essentially the full power of the orcs in combat. Many of them may not want to fight. You would have to convince them. Because it's like if you fight, you might die. If you stay here, you might live. Pass turn. Very good. Round 3. You know what that means. A GM roll. Terrific. With that in mind, guys, we end today's first session with the sound of the portcullis to the east slowly being raised. It seems orcs are approaching. Do they know what's happened? Are they here to put you down? Or are they completely unaware of what has transpired? We'll find out next week. Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Alright, awesome.
That in mind, everybody who's been watching, I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. If you're interested in joining this campaign and helping Isabel, Norman and Oswald next week, feel free to join our Discord and reach out to me. You might be able to get yourself a part-time slot, or if you would like to pay a premium and support the channel, you can join as a full-time player. It's really up to you. But I hope you guys have a good evening, and we'll see you guys next week on this campaign. Till then.